Hey folks, JD here, and Gearbest have very kindly sent me this. This is the KFPlan. Never heard of it, never heard of the manufacturer, very excited to see what it is. Right then my friends, let's get in the box and see exactly what this quad is all about. So inside that box we have another box, and inside this box we have the quad. So let's take everything out and then we'll go through it bit by bit and see exactly what we have here. Right then, so we don't get a lot inside the box, but that's okay because we get what we need, and what we need is just the basics to fly. So let's have a quick little look at this particular quad. So as you can see, it looks a lot like the SGRC Z5, so now we're getting into the realms of the clone drones. This particular quadcopter, it has got a 1080p camera here. The gimbal can be moved via the transmitter, I believe. Yeah, it is certainly motorized. A little test there just for you to see. As we work our way up to the quadcopter, we have this very different dome to what we've seen in a lot of quadcopters of this particular shape. Now this quad, it looks like a right angle there, nice little hard angles, as well as nice little soft angles around the outside. We have foldable drone on the top, and then we have the battery then, which plugs directly, I believe, into the back. The battery just pulls out, which is a 3.7 volt, 300 milliamp hour battery. Now that's a very, very light battery. 300 milliamp hours isn't really, that isn't really a lot of what I'd expect to power a quad like this, especially when they are boasting a flight time of 16 to 18 minutes. Now, I could be wrong, we could be looking at getting something like that, but I think with a bit of wind resistance and with the camera recording, we could be looking at a flight test of a lot less than that. Now, this quadcopter does not have GPS. If we turn it over, it is optical flow positioned right here. So you can obviously, when you do hang your quadcopter, when you do put the analog sticks back to the neutral position, this quadcopter will lock itself in place based on what the optical flow sensor here is reading from the ground below. Usually with a sensor like this, it'll turn off after 10 meters. So if you are any higher than 10 meters, you may find the optical flow won't kick in. But we'll have to test it with this and see exactly what we get. With some quads, I have had that work above 10 meters. I've even had it work above 40 meters with some quads, outstandingly, and it's worked extremely well, like the SEMA Z3 we looked at a little while ago, or Z5 rather. Right, okay, so other things about this particular quadcopter, the control distance is 50 to 100 meters. The FPV distance is 100 meters apparently. These particular motors in the motor housings here are brushed motors. We have a nice little LED on each of these corners, just so that you can see the quadcopter from a little bit of distance. If we turn it on, blue LEDs to the front, red LEDs to the back, and we can see we get a nice little blue LED inside there, which is the camera module. As for the camera, if I just turn this off for a second, do we have an SD card writer on the bottom of this? It doesn't look like. No, I would say not. Not at all. Okay, that's fine. So the only video that you can record is video directly down to your smartphone using the app, which you can find the app inside the manual, which is also included in the box. A couple of other things about this. Obviously we have optical flow, we've been through that. We also have gesture video, gesture photo, long battery life, 16 to 18 minutes, as well as waypoints as well, which isn't too bad. If all that works, this could actually be a really nice budget beginner level quadcopter that gets you into the habit of flying and the fantastic hobby. So there we go, this is the quad. It looks okay, it's pretty standard, very light, feels very, very thin plastic, very plasticky. So the flying weight of this is 180 grams. So they've made sure with this that they come well under that 250 gram limit, thus ensuring that you can actually use this without actually being registered as a quadcopter pilot and being licensed. That's quite nice. Alright then, so that is the quad. Very nice, quite stylish. I hope it flies very well when we take her out in a little while. So let's put that to one side. Also included in the pack, we get this. We get a screwdriver, we get a micro USB cable to charge those batteries, and we also get some spare propellers there. In the manual, let's have a quick little look through there. We have the Z series manual, which takes you through the quadcopter, how to control it, as well as the transmitter, as well as the software installation. So you have your QR codes there in order to get the app installed. Let me just, I hate manuals which bend. Oh, well, that's also obviously been in a box for a long time. But there we go. That's a little manual there as well. Now, the transmitter. The main reason I asked for this particular quad was because of this transmitter. I like these very odd transmitters, and this one really did take my eye. It's similar to one that we had a couple of months ago when it snowed here, and I really wanted to try it out again. As for these antennas, they are most certainly fake, so they are coming off. Not needed, just extra bits there. So, as we are looking at this particular transmitter, the usual way that these transmitters turn on is when you when you move these two hand pads down. By unclicking them, that usually turns on, and by clicking them into place, that usually turns on these particular transmitters, as they don't normally have an on and off button. This one does. It's just up here. Click and hold, and you'll find you have a nice little flashing LED inside here, and you'll hear that beep. That lets you know the transmitter is on. Click and hold again to turn off. Okay, a couple of buttons. We have auto takeoff and auto landing. We have our function button here. We have headless mode. On the top we have take video and take photos. Then we also, this side, we have what looks like flip one way and flip the other way, perhaps. I'll have to double check that, maybe not. It might also be optical flow as well. Might be able to turn it off and turn it on. I'll have to double check what these two buttons are, but I will let you know in the video in a couple of moments. And then as for the transmitters, you also have two little buttons here on the analog sticks. They could be duds. I will double check that as well and see exactly what those do, but I would imagine one of them would be a sort of return to home function, even though it hasn't got GPS. The return to home, if you don't have GPS, just basically turns the quadcopter back around and just flies it pretty much in a straight line where it thinks you are. Now, that being said, these little pads at the bottom here do extend for you to put your phone in there, so you can use the app and see the video relay, as well as you do have, as this has got a rechargeable battery built into it in the back, you have got a micro USB cable there, just to micro USB port rather, just for you to plug in your micro USB cable and charge this bad boy up. I couldn't find any information on how long the battery inside here lasts, but I would imagine it would be well over the 16 to 18 minutes. Standard transmitters last normally for about 50 minutes to an hour, so I don't imagine this being any different, but obviously, as I say, I don't know because I couldn't find the information either in the manual or on the website. That being said, it feels quite nice, feels quite light, fits in your hand quite easily, isn't going to be something that you find difficult to control. It should actually be quite useful and work quite well. So that's the transmitter. So all in all, we've got the transmitter, we've got our bag of accessories, we've got our manual at the top here, as well as we have our quadcopter. So I think the next step, my friends, is I've done enough yammering and you've seen enough of this desk. Let's get out and see exactly how this quad flies. Okay, so I just turned on the quad, now let's turn on the transmitter. Single one up and one down to bind. Now getting this in here is going to be a bit of a nightmare. Maybe. Go on. There we go. Right, okay, that wasn't the easiest, but certainly wasn't the most difficult. Connect to the open SSID that just pops up there. There we go. That should bind, and then we're going to open up the app. Now I don't think I've put the app. No, I haven't. H-Fun, which is otherwise known as Have Fun. So let's start off with calibrate. That just calibrates the gyro, just so that you have that nice flat plane, so it knows exactly where horizontal is. Let's click start, and then we do have, oh there we are, we can scale the video. Maybe it does say, oh, we can't scale it yet. So there we go. Can we remove these little nubbins from here, I wonder? Doesn't look like. Oh yeah, we can, but you can, that's music mode. I'm not going to put it on music mode. So I want to see how this flies. Obviously we've got a very bad day today. We've got winds of 7 gusting up to 13 miles an hour. So this could be the end of this quad. I'm hoping not, but obviously I want to take her up and see how she's going to fly. And then if if it is dangerous or if it is not suitable for this quad, I'll bring it down. So with this, let's use the 1-key takeoff, and she takes off up to an altitude where hopefully then the optical flow sensor is going to start to read and then hold her in place. Now obviously on a day like today, let's take her up a little bit higher. On a day like today, that could be quite difficult, where you've got the wind pushing you from every conceivable angle. You can see the quad twitching, which is just it trying to find its level with the optical flow, and the wind is pushing it. It is pushing it a lot, but I am able to cut through it. Now Oh, yeah, I am able to cut through that breeze, but it's going to be a little bit dodgy, I think. Let's see if I can increase the speed mode of that. Oh, as soon as you take off, it automatically starts recording video, which is pretty good. But the only thing I'm trying to figure out is, I think that was return to home I hit accidentally. It's on 100% by the look of it, so that is 100% of the speed you're going to get. So it isn't going to get any faster than that. It isn't going to get any more powerful. Those brushed motors are quite literally banging about as fast as they possibly can, and that is, yeah, that is the maximum you're going to get over. That is it. Angle of attack isn't too bad. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not very aggressive. It does take a while when you change direction, obviously, for her to carry on. But as I say, we do have that wind here today, which is going to play a factor in this quadcopter's movements. I like the fact that when you take off, video starts recording. That's a plus. I couldn't find an SD card writer attached to the camera module, so I'm guessing this is just recording directly onto my phone. If that is the case, then it is going to come up and prompt me to automatically save this video. It looks like I've got a huge black cloud rolling in, which looks like imminent rain. So I may have to down this if it starts raining. But so far, it's handling the wind that we've got here today, I think, pretty well. Because it is a brushed motor. It is doing its damnedest. It's keeping its level pretty well. It's not increasing its altitude too much. It has increased it slightly, and I've brought it back down. I mean, as I change, I throttle on, and then the wind then obviously takes control of the quad, but then the quad then gently does start to cut through that breeze. I mean, you can't expect too much in a windy situation like this out of a brushed quad. You just can't. I mean, brushed motors are okay, they're pretty good. I don't slag them off as much as a lot of other people do, but at the same time, I have got to face facts that for a day like today, brushless is most definitely going to be the winner. But, you know, it's really nice to control. This transmitter feels really nice. It's light. Its resolution on the sticks are a little bit hit and miss, but at the same time, it's doing its job. It's doing what it's designed to do. Now, if I bring it down slightly, let's see how that optical flow actually holds. It was okay to begin with. Obviously, then we had a strong gust of wind. You can see the trees in the background to judge the wind today. And it's holding pretty well. It is holding pretty well. I'm going to take a couple of photos of me walking around just to see how this fares. I think that's okay, you know. I think that is okay. Now, we have got a couple of features, but to be honest with you, with a non-GPS quad, I'm really a little bit funny about testing them, because generally they don't work very well. I will give it a shot and see how they go, but I can't guarantee that these are going to work. So let's open up the... am I recording my screen so you can see what I'm doing? No, I'm not. Let's record my screen then from this point onwards, so then you can see what I'm doing. So let's open up the app drawer, and you can see we've got a couple of different things here. Waypoints, as in trajectory flight. What it will do is, hopefully, if you draw, it should follow. Now, that's a little bit hit and miss with things like this. Usually, if you do draw a line, it'll usually at least try to push forward, but maybe this needs to be controlled via the Wi-Fi in order for it to work. That's also another thing that you see. But I'm very impressed with the optical flow, because as I say, and as you can see, the weather today is not conducive to flying a brushed motored quad. But at the same time, come on, up you go. But at the same time, it's managing to hold itself pretty well. This is non-GPS, and I think it's managing pretty well. Let's take waypoints off. Let's keep the app drawer open though. Look at it, still going. Now, I got a couple of other things here. There we go, you can alter the preset of the video. That's quite nice, you know. And see how that goes. Oh, where have you gone now? That's the thing, optical flow is keeping it level, but it is moving side to side. Let's take a couple of photos with this chrome filter and see how this goes. Now, it has popped up on the screen, it has said share, and as I'm clicking this button, the share thumbnail is changing, so I know it is taking photos. You know what? This is actually doing a lot better than I thought. I thought I'd have to down it far before this, but this is actually doing pretty good. Whoa, that was a little bit dodgy. Come on, gain altitude. It's fighting well. It really is. I mean, its gyro calibration was pretty flat, pretty good. You can see that from the way that it holds itself. I mean, now I am throttling on, giving it a little bit of beans just so that I can keep it cutting through this breeze. But to be fair, this is doing a lot better than I thought it would. But this wind really is picking up, so I may have to down her. You can see the trees in the background just to see exactly how windy today is and how windy it's becoming. So I think what I'll do, folks, I think it's going to start to become a little bit dangerous if I carry on. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to down it in a couple of minutes. I don't have a battery meter, so I can't tell how much battery is actually left inside the quad, but I do know I've been flying now for approximately 4.5 to 5 minutes. When I changed the preset of the photo, the video stopped recording. Right, okay, let's bring her down. That's getting a little bit crazy there. Right, okay, that's getting a little bit crazy. So we are set to have a storm. I thought I could just come out and basically try and see if I could just get away with it, but it doesn't look like I can. I mean, I'm very surprised at this. I really am. I'm surprised at the quad. I'm surprised at how well it is done. I mean, the motors are nice and cool. They're, as you'd expect, because there's constant air moving over them. I mean, I'm actually pretty impressed with that. The optical flow sensor is only one, and it did, I think, a very good job. I mean, this is, let's talk about this exactly as it is. It is a brushed motored quad. You can't expect too much. You can expect usually good flight. What I am expecting is, from the photos and from the video, I'm expecting some jello, just because the brushed motors do vibrate quite a lot, and therefore, as the camera is not sat inside a gimbal, you are going to have that vibration relaying back over to the camera, so you are going to see that vibration coming through. But that being said, you know, I think the whole thing, this is not the best environment, they're not the best conditions to be testing this, and I think it did really very well. I'm very impressed with how this did. So I think the next thing is I'm going to fly this again on a nice still day. This isn't the last you've seen of this one, but at the same time, I just wanted to see exactly how it would fare. I wanted to see how a brushed motor quad would fare in not ideal weather conditions, and I think I've answered the question. And I think the answer for myself is I think it flew very well. The wind has picked up a lot now, so I'm going to call that a day, folks. It's not safe to fly anymore, and I think that's it. Right, there we are, my friends. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD. You've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and ring that bell too. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.